All right, here we are in the workshop and we are going to install S-Video into this Super Nintendo Jr. First thing we need to do is get the top shell off. To do that, you're going to need one of these game bit drivers. Okay, we're going to set the top shell aside and then we only have to remove 7 screws in order to get the motherboard out. Now I can set the bottom shell aside and we're left with only the motherboard. We can also remove the RF shield. And beneath the RF shield, we can see what makes the Junior so special. This is the Super Nintendo one-chip CPU, which combines both the CPU and the PPUs all into one chip. This increases the reliability and the quality of the video signal. The full-size one-chip Super Nintendos sell for more on eBay than the multi-chip Super Nintendos. But luckily, you can get the same thing out of a Super Nintendo Jr., which is why we're going to add S-Video. Now that we've seen why, let's get started. For this mod, we also need to remove the heatsink. And here is the chip we'll be soldering to. This is the video encoder chip, which has outputs for separate chroma and luma, which are necessary for S-Video, but they're not hooked up. That's the problem we need to fix. And we will need a few parts. It takes only 4 electrical components to make this happen. First, a 220 microfarad capacitor, a 0.1 microfarad capacitor, and 2 75 ohm resistors. The other thing we're going to need is some wire. We're going to use blue for luma and red for chroma. These wires are probably longer than I need, but like I always say, the most expensive wire is the one that's too short. Okay, we cut and strip the wires. Now we're ready to go. Now some people solder the capacitor legs directly to the pins on the encoder chip. I prefer to separate that with a length of wire. People have previously bent these pins and they can snap off. So I put wire on there so the wire bends, not the pin. That's just my own personal choice. You do it your way. Okay, that's one down. Okay, now we're attached onto chroma and luma. Now's a great time to be sure we can safely reinstall the heatsink for the voltage regulator. So far, so good. With the heatsink back in place, we can see our wires are clear. Let's go ahead and finish the mod. Next, we need to put the capacitor in line with the luma wire. It's important to make sure that the longer wire, the positive end, goes towards the encoder chip, and the shorter end goes towards the resistor and to the video output. Now we have our 2 components. We can cut the wire, put them in line, and then wire it up to the output, and then we're done. Okay, we'll use a little hot air, shrink up that tubing. There's only one thing left to do. All we gotta do is attach luma and chroma to the output pins, and this console will now have S-Video. Okay, now let's put some heat shrink tubing over it. Okay, and with that, the installation is complete. Now I'm gonna add a few finishing touches. Okay, the mod is now installed. Let's test fit it into the case. Okay, it fits beautifully. Let's button it up. Okay, just the top shell to go. Beautiful, there it is. SNES Jr with full S-video output. Let's get it back to the game studio. All right, we are back in the game studio, and now we're gonna look at the results of this mod. So what I have here are two SNES Juniors. One is the modded one is original. Let's see how the mod performs. First, we're gonna see how the different adapters react to a normal SNES Junior. I'm gonna hook it up through this RetroTINK 2X Mini. So for a baseline, here is a standard unmodified SNES Junior going through a RetroTINK. Now, of course, the RetroTINK does a really good job of cleaning up the signal. Now let's hook it up with an S-video cable. As expected, through an S-video cable, we get no signal. In fact, all I can hear is the sound. Let's try the unmodded console with this Kaico adapter. This blue light here indicates that we're using a composite signal. Now it does work, but you can see there's quite a bit of noise in the signal. Let's switch over to S-video input. S-video input, again, unfortunately, has sound, but no actual signal. This is the core problem with the SNES Junior stock. But let's try the modified console. And wow, that new S-video signal through the RetroTINK looks amazing. It's so crystal clear and sharp. This is what the SNES Junior should have always looked like. And it kind of surprises me because for Nintendo to do this, it would have been so easy. I can't imagine they would have saved more than a few pennies by not hooking this up. All right, let's try the Kaico adapter. Okay, we're on S-video input, and no surprises, it looks beautiful. This is great. This now makes the SNES Junior just as good, if not better, than the original full-size Nintendo. And it's such a relatively easy mod to do, only 4 components to go from composite to S-video. Thank you to RetroRGB for documenting this mod, and for consolemods.org for having the documentation easy to read. I hope this video was useful to show how the mod was done, and to see the results. We'll soon be selling modded consoles like this one on ifxretrogames.com. You can also buy some of our other restorations as well. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you on the next one.